Alex, your stress is going to kill you. He's like, and you now see this. And his big thing was basically like conversations unsaid, which is like you have all this attention that's spread between these things because you aren't willing to look at them. Like you avoid these things, you avoid these hard conversations. And so at this time, I was so spread thin. I actually asked Layla to just go away basically for a month. And so we still talked, but we were like on a break. And she basically came in one day and was like, do you still want to be with me? And I was like, no, you can do whatever you want. And so she went and launched the gym in Hawaii. We actually need it, and she crushed it. She still has the all-time record from that launch. And at this time, I had 9 businesses.
Okay.
Because I was the classic like shiny object entrepreneur, and so I had partners. I had all this stuff, and I had a dental agency.
Oh, okay.
A chiropractor agency. I had 5 locations. I had the 6th, which I was now spending my days in, and then I had the launch business. So I had like no mental bandwidth whatsoever. And mind you, like I'm still not really making any money. I'm like making revenue and just spending it. Like I'm not making anything. And so the thing that really helped me get through that was after I did get in that DUI, in that collision, I think stakes became really clear to me, which was that I didn't die. And if I didn't die, then everything that I looked at was framed through the image of like, will it kill me? And so then all of a sudden, like the next day I called all of these partners and was like, can't do business. And they're like, but you said, and I was like, can't do it. Sorry. And I was usually the breadwinner for, I was the rainmaker for most of the businesses that I was part of. And I was like, I'll do whatever deal you want. I was like, but I'm not doing it. And so I exited all of those businesses within the next like 48 hours.
What was your role in those businesses, like the dental and the chiropractor?
Marketer.
Okay.
Yeah, marketing and sales. That was always my game. And so I just stepped out of everything. And that was when Layla was like, we should do this launch thing. It's actually working. So that's like concurrently going on. But from a pressure perspective, the thing that, the perspectives that have shaped my life have since then been all framed around death. And that's been kind of my single point of absolute truth is that like, I am going to die. And so if I look at things from that perspective, it just helps me get out of the day-to-day expectations management of other people, because I lived the first part of my life, more than half of my life, with the, choked by the expectations that I perceived of other people. And so I would say that probably the second half of my life has been just a slow and deliberate process of trying to disengage as many of those as I can so that I can just hear the one voice that matters most, which for me is mine, and trying to meet that man or the ideal version of myself's expectations. So I think about like my 85-year-old self and I'm like, what does he want me to do? And so I'm like, does he care about what this person thinks? I'm like, he said that person didn't even show up to your funeral. Okay, well, if they're not going to be at the funeral, why do I care about what they think today? And so I use that frame a lot. And that's what actually gets me. It allows me to get out of a lot of perceived social constructs and expectations people want to put on you, or at least that you perceive that they're putting on you. And then you can just make decisions that make sense. And so I think that was my big unlock from that little season. And then that allowed me to I got all my attention back. And then that's when, I had that little breakthrough a few months later, and then that was it.
When you are 85 years old and you're looking back on your life, what do you want that legacy to be?
So I would say internally and externally. So internally, it's that I leave no potential unused. So I think everybody has an idea of what their potential is. And so I just want no potential Alex left. I want all of it actualized. Every ounce of it squeezed out.
Why?
Because I find that meaningful.
Okay.
I won't get into the meaning conversation, but for me, I find that meaningful. And then from an external perspective, the more I've thought about it, like I'm a big believer in what Socrates said, that ignorance is the only evil, just not knowing. So it's like people are mean to one another because they don't understand one another. Like if they really understood the other person, then they wouldn't. And everyone's seen these TV shows where people hate each other. They find out more about one another, and all of a sudden they're actually fine with each other. Yeah. And so it's just people lack context. And so I see, the opposite of ignorance is knowledge or education. And so, our mission acquisition.com is to make real business education available to everyone. And so that's why we write the books and why we make the courses, because like that education is what allowed me to lose everything and then still get it back.
Mm-hmm.
And if you play out different scenarios, like if you accumulate all this wealth and then you pass it on to a generation and they don't have the same education as you, and then you pass it on to more generations, they lose it all because they don't know how it was made.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of it, like we're here with like cameras and recording items, and we're able to do it because other humans who we don't know figured something out and they passed it on.
Yeah.
So it's very much like Newton's, I can see so far because I stand on shoulders of giants. And I know that in 5,000 or 5 million years, like my name will definitely be forgotten, but I can still help humanity by having some level of contribution from an educational perspective. And so from an external impact, education, I think, is the greatest legacy, because it's the only thing that, like, if you have kids and they lose all your money, but they have all your education, they can get it back.
Yeah.
And then from like a combating evil perspective, if everyone had complete understanding of one another and of the world, which only comes through knowledge and education, then I think a great amount of evil would be avoided. Yeah. And so that's what I think my 85-year-old self. I see myself, and it sucks to say this because I don't know how to say it in a good way, but I really enjoy teaching. And or rather, if I was to be precise, I enjoy instructing.
Mm-hmm.
As in, teaching is organizing the environment to reward or punish for behaviors. I don't do that. But instruct is in like, if these are the things and how I do them that have worked for me, use them if you want. That is something that I really deeply enjoy. Like right before I came here, I spent the entire day redrawing images for the next book that's coming out, just so that they're like a little crisper and a little clearer. And there's no thing that I enjoy more in my life. Like if I did only that for the rest of my life, like I'd be stoked. And so that's what I love most. And I think if my 85-year-old self saw me do that for the highest percentage of my life possible, he'd be pretty happy too.